Republicans say that they have the votes to confirm a new Supreme Court justice. We'll tell you who the smart money is betting on. London is in the grips of a second coronavirus wave as here in the U.S. we cross the 200,000 mark when it comes to deaths. And Quibi ready for a sale? Here's what you need to know. Good morning. This is Cheddar's Need2Know podcast for Tuesday, September 22nd. I am Jill Wagner with Carlo Versano. Good morning.
Happy Tuesday, Jill. You know, the problem with the podcast is you don't really get the visual. So if you're not watching this on YouTube right now, you don't see that Jill is sitting here with rollers in her hair. She looks like a complete lunatic. No, I'm just teasing. I know.
Well, I am a complete lunatic, so it's about time I look like one.
This is how the sausage gets made here, folks. We, you do what you got to do at this hour.
New. We still have no hair and makeup here, so I am just, this is my new attempt. Rollers for as long as they could stay in, and I'll take them out right before Wake Up with Cheddar starts
Lord.
in a few minutes. Okay, let's get to the news. We have some big developments this morning. The Senate appears to have the votes to confirm a new Supreme Court justice after Senators Chuck Grassley and Cory Gardner threw their support behind President Trump's still unnamed nominee. So if a vote were to happen before Election Day, which is in 42 days, it would be the fastest confirmation ever by far. Meanwhile, President Trump says that he plans to announce his nominee on Friday or Saturday. That timing is no coincidence because it allows Trump to own the news cycle this week and the weekend, leading into the first debate on Tuesday. Plus, it is probably the respectful thing to do given that RBG has not even been buried yet. Give this woman her due, please. I mean, it's just so sad that we're even talking, by the way, and we're guilty of it too, talking about the political implications, but how about honoring this woman's life?
Totally, and I get it, but at the same time, I mean, this is again, I think I said this yesterday, but like when you have a lifetime appointment, like the stakes are so high with these things that I don't really blame anybody for wanting to know what's going on with her replacement. This is a big deal. If she is, whoever replaces her. I think that the fact that they have the votes before they even know who the nominee is sort of really tells you everything you need to know about this process and sort of what's become of it. But the name at the top of the president's short list is apparently Amy Coney Barrett. She is a former law professor who President Trump named to the federal appeals court in 2017. Conservatives believe that Barrett would give the court an insurmountable majority on the issue of abortion, which could lead to the eventual overturning of Roe v. Wade. I don't know enough about her to really opine on her bona fides. I'm sure that she is smart and capable, but she also hasn't really been on the bench that long, so she doesn't really have sort of like a paper trail, or a very long paper trail at least when it comes to how she votes. But given her background, I know that she's extremely religious, and obviously there's nothing wrong with that. But it's an important part of this when you're talking about a Supreme Court justice. I suspect that she would vote to overturn Roe if presented the opportunity. So again, that's what the stakes are in this.
The other name being floated is Barbara Lagoa. So she is Cuban American. She's from South Florida. President Trump has said, quote, "She's excellent. She's Hispanic. She's a terrific woman from everything I know. I don't know her." Florida. We love Florida. She's got a lot of things. Very smart. So this he said in an interview with Fox and Friends.
One of my favorite things is to read the transcripts of Trump when he's not reading from a teleprompter, because it really gives you a sense of just like how all over the place he is. I'm sorry. And
it's just like, I mean, look, you can't take politics out of any of this stuff, but again, this is a lifetime appointment.
These women are both young, by the way.
I was just about to say, I just looked up their ages because I wanted to see. Amy Coney Barrett, I believe she is 48. Barbara Lagoa is in her 50s. This could tell you everything you need to know about where my head is right now. I looked it up, and 52 years old. Okay, so we're talking potentially 3 or 4 decades here.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this is a generational shift in the court if this goes down.
Meanwhile, RBG will lie in repose outside of the Supreme Court tomorrow and Wednesday. Members of the public are invited to pay their respects. The late justice will then become the first woman to ever lie in state at the Capitol on Friday, where a private ceremony will take place. She will be buried at Arlington next week. Just also want to mention, President Trump is like trying to say, you know how she had said that reportedly, Ruth Bader Ginsburg told her granddaughter that her dying wish was that she be replaced by the next president. So Trump is saying that she didn't say that. Like Trump's like, no, it sounds like it's made up. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And
well, who would you believe? Would you believe him, or would you believe the people who were at her bedside when she was dying? I don't know. I can't imagine who to believe in that situation. But Jill, something that I learned yesterday. She will be the only woman who, like you said, she's going to be RBG will be the only woman to ever lie in state at the Capitol, which is really amazing when you think about it. The only other woman who has been given the honor of a Capitol ceremony, Rosa Parks, when she died in 2005, but she was officially laid in honor, not laid in state. I think the difference there is because she was a civilian and not a government official. But a little trivia there.
Meanwhile, let's talk about coronavirus here. The CDC abruptly removed guidance from its website that said that the coronavirus is primarily transmitted via airborne aerosols. Okay, so we've talked about this a lot here on the podcast. So meaning, which we've known for a while, that it's not just close contact with somebody within 6 feet, and like they don't have to sneeze on you for them to actually infect you, that you could speak and be in a room and your aerosols can just linger for a really long time. Even when you leave the room, someone else comes in, especially if there's bad ventilation.
Exactly.
Anywho, so the CDC removed that. They put it up a few days ago, removed it, saying that it was posted in error. And this is once again bringing scrutiny to this agency, which has been criticized for its incompetence in handling the pandemic. Across the pond, meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson will address the nation today. He is expected to order pubs and restaurants to close early and urge people to work from home as a dramatic rise in cases has gripped that country. The global death toll there is approaching 1 million. The global death toll, meaning the globe, is approaching 1 million. And the U.S. is accounting for 1 in 5 of those deaths. Do the math. We are not 1 in 5 of the population. We're about 4% of the population. So bottom line, spin it how you want. We're not doing well in this country.
I believe President Trump gave himself an A+ yesterday when asked about his coronavirus response, which I found amusing, if not depressing. Another piece of I'm all about the trivia this morning, Jill. Although this one's a little more grim. COVID is now the COVID is now the 4th largest mass casualty event in American history, behind the Civil War, World War II, and the 1918 flu pandemic. Pretty unbelievable. Back to what you were saying about the CDC. Whatever the hell is going on at the CDC, it's just so sad, really, right? When you think about, I just think about all like the career epidemiologists and all like the career, scientists and virologists at that agency who have given their lives to public health, right? These are probably people who could have taken, high-paying jobs in the pharmaceutical industry, in hospitals, and you forget that with these government agencies, they're run by regular people who, in many cases, take lower pay so that they can do good, right? So they can work in the public's interest. I just think about people like that, just to watch this agency lose its reputation under the current White House administration. It's just such a shame, and it's going to take a long time for them to be able to, to build it back up.
Their argument in this case is that it was like a draft of something that was put up mistakenly, and that they want to elaborate that it's not that you could get it, that the primary mode of transmission is still close contact.
Whoever is running communications for them should be fired if they haven't already. I mean, Jill, you and I have been talking about this for months, right? I mean, when did we start saying, like, it's pretty obvious that this thing is transmitted through the air and in little aerosols? We're not scientists, but it's pretty clear just from a layman's perspective.
And it's pretty clear from all examples that have been studied.
Yes, right.
The other thing that they'd really botched was the guidance on testing, and it was like, it was a few weeks ago where they said that you did not need to, that if you're asymptomatic, you don't need to get tested even if you've had exposure to someone. And it turned out that was written by the health department and not the CDC. But it's like, what is going on? The CDC is, to your point, should be this group of experts, highly esteemed. It used to be the go-to place, like the Ebola crisis, which didn't happen here. The CDC helped lead that response. Okay, let's move on. By the way, the next time you give trivia,
it's easy to get worked up about this.
Carlo, can you stick to which quarterback has won the most games, or how many actors or actresses have won Emmys, Tonys, whatever? I mean, why are we doing what is the largest mass casualty event of the U.S. for trivia?
Fair enough. That's 2020 trivia.
It's the 2020 trivia version. Okay.
We shouldn't laugh, but yeah.
All right. The Justice Department has labeled New York, Seattle, and Portland as anarchist jurisdictions under President Trump's instructions. A political maneuver that could lead to those cities being stripped of federal funding, although that would almost certainly get challenged in court. In a memo, the DOJ said that it identified jurisdictions that have, quote, permitted violence and the destruction of property to persist and have refused to undertake reasonable measures to counteract these criminal activities.
New York City, an anarchist jurisdiction where the bars close at 11 o'clock at night and I have to move my car every 2 days for street cleaning. Like, come on, man, give me a break. City's hotel industry is just being, facing a total wipeout. More of them are closing by the day. Obviously, there's just no guests, right? Shootings have nearly doubled year over year. That's unheard of in the city. The homeless situation is out of control. There are serious problems everywhere you look. The irony, of course, is that by stripping a city of federal funding, as Trump wants to do here, he would be doing what he claims Joe Biden wants to do, which is essentially defunding the police by, stripping them of access to federal money. Biden, by the way, should be making that point every single day.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know what else to add. I'm upset at New York City and what's happened to it in terms of crime and just it being so empty.
There's plenty of blame to go around.
Yeah, I mean, this situation isn't great, but to say that it's an anarchist jurisdiction, I think, is
pretty
perhaps
boring anarchist jurisdiction.
And by the way, when there were riots, a curfew was put in place and it got under control. It wasn't.
Right, exactly.
There was action that was taken. Okay, all right. After 3 straight weeks in the red, U.S. stocks were unable to stage a comeback to start the last full week of September. The Dow down nearly 1,000 points at one point Monday before closing down about 500. The S&P fared a bit better. The Nasdaq actually ended the day more or less flat. Apple had this really late day rally, which kind of, even though it's not as big a part of the Dow anymore, it helped give a boost to the overall markets.
So I think to blame is, you have the combination of everything we've been talking about, right, which is these renewed worries about the different outbreaks, the possibilities of new lockdowns in Europe, which are now essentially we're about to see in the UK. I mean, it won't be like a strict lockdown, but that's pretty much where this is headed. Plus, of course, we have this just extremely unsettled political landscape in Washington, and there's no signs of progress on a new relief bill in Congress. I mean, Joe, when you think about it, right, the House passed a coronavirus relief bill like in May. The Senate has not moved on it. And they're gonna jam through a Supreme Court nominee. Meanwhile, while there's like 30 million people unemployed, like it's just that's the priority for the Senate right now, right? We're not getting a new relief bill by the election. I just don't see it happening. I think that's one of the things that hurt the market yesterday. But I was thinking about this when I was writing this yesterday. Have we ever talked about this? Like, one of my biggest pet peeves in business journalism in our profession is when we say things like stocks fell today because of X, Y, Z. Sometimes it's obvious, right? Like when the Fed does something, that moves markets, like it's pretty clear that's what happened when the jobs report comes out, something like that. But a lot of the time we don't really know, right? It seems like this is why the market's down, but do I know that for certain? I mean, it's not like there's a, president of the Dow Jones that comes out at the market close and says like, here's why people sold stocks today. I don't know. Have you
been talking to my husband? Yeah, he could argue this. But I think you're 100% right, and I think we're guilty of it. Every mainstream business outlet is guilty of it.
Sometimes you just don't know.
And it's funny because we used to say that the jobs report was going to be this huge market mover. Like, we would build everything up for the jobs report in terms of it moving the markets. And I would interview analyst after analyst recently on Cheddar and be like, is the jobs report moving the markets? And the answer is no, because there is so much money from the Fed right now that is boosting the markets. Interest rates are so low. There are so many other factors that unless it was just an absolutely crazy jobs report, way out of line with expectations, that is not what is moving the markets. And yeah, I think we're guilty of it. We like to pin anything to we want to give a reason for anything.
Make it easier,
sometimes
right?
There's not.
Exactly, right.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about kind of a business story. Less than 6 months since Quibi launched with a whole lot of fanfare and not a lot of viewers, the short-form video platform is reportedly considering selling itself. A sale, one of several strategic options the company is said to be considering, along with a potential IPO through a merger. Quibi won 2 Emmys recently, but continues to struggle when it comes to signing people up. That service is expected to miss its initial subscriber target by a huge margin.
Yeah, so this was in the Wall Street Journal reporting this, that they're considering a sale, which is, I mean, Quibi, what an amazing business case study Quibi is, right? All the money in the world, the backing of some of the smartest people with the deepest pockets in Hollywood, and 6 months in, and it is just utterly culturally irrelevant. And I'm not saying that, I actually know people who work there, and I don't say this to disparage them, because I know they're trying to put out good content and working under really tough conditions right now. But I mean, it's fascinating, right? Have you ever, Jill, heard somebody tell you to watch something on Quibi? Have you ever?
No, I've heard people tell me not to watch something on Quibi.
Yeah, right.
The opposite.
I mean, I don't even. If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't even tell you a show that's on Quibi except for some of the news programming. And I only know that because I know people who work on those shows. And I mean, have you ever seen a meme of a Quibi show? Right? Could you even name one? I mean, whether or not they sell, I don't necessarily know that they will. It's just this will be studied in business schools for years to come about how, And again, I'm sure not everything is their fault, right? They launched this thing in April. But you would also think that that'd be a pretty good time to launch a streaming service. You've got a pretty captive audience, right?
So the problem, look, I buy some of their argument, in terms of the pandemic, because when you really think about it, the beauty of this service was that it was meant for a small screen, right? It was really short clips. It was meant to be quality entertainment or quality news in your hand. And it really was designed for a commute. Right? When I pictured if I ever got Quibi, it would have been to watch on the train or watch in the back of an Uber, or waiting to meet a friend somewhere. It didn't seem like content that's great when you're home and you're in bed and then you want to watch the big screen. I mean, at least that's what I do. So I really do think a lot of it was timing. However, for the people that downloaded this and were looking at this service, many whom I spoke to said that the quality wasn't there, that there were no shows that really gripped them. So had there been, I think you make a good point. We're all on our phones watching TikTok videos, watching Instagram videos. So if you said to me, you got to watch this thing on Quibi, check it out, download it for free, whatever, I probably would have. I mean, there was just nothing drawing me to it. So I do think, but I don't want to downplay the pandemic, because in this case, I do think the timing was horrible for them.
Yeah, I mean, look, we already made the point, but I think it's all about content, right? The content has to be good. You have to have something that people want to watch and want to share. Sharing is a big part of this, right? I mean, think about just, you're on Twitter, what are the shows that people are making memes out of, or that people are making GIFs out of? Those are the shows that are culturally relevant, right?
Wait, speaking of which, your recommendation to me yesterday was that I watch The Social Dilemma, right?
Did you watch it yet?
I watched 20 minutes, whatever. I have a window of 20 minutes of free time in the middle of the day before my daughter gets up from her nap. So I watched about 20 minutes of it. Fascinating, disturbing. I'm not that into, though, the mix of documentary and drama.
You know what? keep going with it because I wasn't either. It's weird. It's really like off-putting at first because you're not used to it. But they actually the way that they do it because it ends up I think being really effective. So, but I know
Okay.
exactly what you mean.
I'm just
So
like,
stick
I don't
with it.
understand. Is it like, are these actors?
weird.
I was so confused when I started to see a very
Yeah.
clear dramatic scene that I'm like,
Right.
I thought these people were all real. Then I had to go back and read about it, and it was like, no, it's a combo
Yeah, it's
docudrama.
different.
Okay.
I think it really works though. Yeah, stick with it.
All right. And just really quickly, we just want to mention the Emmys, which were on Sunday night. That telecast getting really high praise for its technical and logistical feats. But did anybody actually watch it? Not really. Ratings for the Emmys were the lowest in its history, drawing just 6.1 million viewers, according to Nielsen, less than half of the viewership of any given episode of NCIS. Sorry, celebs.
Yeah,
we're over you.
I mean, 6.1 for a major award show, Jill. That's a catastrophe. There's no question about it. I think, in fairness, the Emmys went up against Sunday Night Football and the NBA playoffs on Sunday night. That never happens, right? Just by virtue of the schedule. So I think you gotta that's a lot of competition. Everything is just so out of whack this year. I don't know if you can divine much from any of these things. Quibi to that, to your point earlier, like Quibi too. Like it's just this year is just going to be such a wash for so many things. Like I don't think everything basically has an asterisk on it. That's my take.
Okay, we'll end it there. Hashtag 2020, right? All right, that's what you need to know.
All right, go take those rollers out of your hair.
I think I'm just gonna do the show. Well, we'll see if anyone watches, right? I'll leave them in and I'll see what anyone says. All right, that's what you need to know for Tuesday, September 22nd.
All right, guys, see you tomorrow.